This will be the biggest, and I mean biggest, tier list video for engineering that you've ever seen on YouTube. I'm not gonna lie. If you don't know me, my name is Jovan. I have a master's degree in electrical engineering, and I am an optoelectronics engineer researcher. And today, I'm going to be doing a video that will rank all, and I mean every single one, even the niche engineering majors. So here's how I'm ranking so you have an idea. I'm rating in terms of money and return on investment, meaning how much will you pay for this degree and how much it pays. I'm also rating on demand and open roles for these positions. I'm rating based off of security, based off of how layoffs happen, job security versus AI. I'm going against freedom, meaning geographic location, and automation risk that kind of goes into security, but it also goes into mission critical work for security. So when I say money, assume typical US pay ranges that goes from 70,000 to 120,000, and mid-career, some of these majors you can go up to $200,000 and even higher than that. There'll be 7 different tiers that I'll be ranking into. The first tier, this is like the S tier engineer, is called peak engineer, meaning that you get top return on investment, it's hard to automate, and you have leverage if you have this degree. The second tier is called, a great major. It's like a banging engineer. This is like you get great money, great opportunities. There's a little bit of caveats, but nonetheless, this is still a great engineering major. If you pick this, you'll have a great engineering career. The third tier is called pretty good, meaning it has a stable career, great public mission, pay tops out lower, or you need like licensure, or you might need grad school if you pick this, for the big money if you pick this major. But it's still a pretty good major. There's nothing wrong with it, and mind you, there's nothing wrong with any of these majors. Here's where it gets kind of wild. The fourth tier, I call it mid, meaning it's not a mid career, but relative to engineering, it's a little mid. You can still absolutely win picking these majors, but you need a plan. The next one is like, nah, you don't pick this, or nah, only choose these for very specific reasons. If it's in this fifth tier, unless you have a very specific reason, don't choose this. The last one, or one of the last ones, is do not pick this major. Don't pick it. Don't pick this major unless you are just ready to have a lot of problems, or unless you have family connections. Don't pick this major. And the last one is just, are you trolling? You're trolling. Let's get into it, man. I'm gonna start with the do not pick this. The first one I'm gonna start with is this tier, do not pick this major, and the one that's going in this major first is paper engineering. Paper engineering at a school without deep co-ops or strong energy ties. This field is small and very regional. Without a guaranteed pathway, you're basically bottlenecked and stuck in this field. And the second one I'm gonna put in do not pick this is Motorsports-only Engineering degree. Didn't even know that was a field, honestly, but there's a Motorsports-only Engineering Bachelor's of Science degree. Recruiters default to mechanical engineers for if you want to go into motorsports, and the brand network is not elite for motorsports. So these are the ones that do not pick this major, period. The last, or the second to last, or the third to last, which is oh no, I'm gonna go with engineering management in oh no. And you may be wondering, why'd you pick engineering management for oh no? The reasons are managers in engineering get more respect and mobility when they start with technical degrees such as electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, industrial engineering, things like that. So for you to specifically get an engineering management degree and expect to be a technical engineer is going to be very hard for you. Instead, a major in a core field, minor in business, and have some projects. That would be much better. The next one I'm going to put in no, do not pick this, or oh no, is just a general pre-engineering degree with non-ABET credentials. Reasoning is because hiring funnels still filter for ABET engineering. That's like the accreditation system for engineers. So if you do a non-ABET pre-engineering degree or general engineering, you're going to be obviously behind. I wouldn't pick this at all. Don't pick this. I don't understand why anybody would want to pick that. Now I'm going to move up to the kind of mid, and granted, some of you may disagree with me on this, but I have my reasons for all of these. I'm going to explain every single reason. So if you're shocked, I'm going to tell you why I put them in there for every single one. Okay. So, and the first one I'm putting in kind of mid is nanotechnology or quantum engineering. And I'm only putting this specifically for undergraduate majors. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's emerging, it's a cool major, it sounds cool, it sounds expensive. But if you're going into nanotechnology and quantum or engineering, you're better off getting an electrical engineering degree or a mechanical engineering degree or a physics, even a physics degree, you're better off. So rather than picking a nanotechnology or a quantum engineering degree, even though it is mid, you're okay if you pick this, move it up, treat it as a track and pick an EE degree or an MSE degree, and you'll be better off just getting a PhD or specializing in nanotechnology or getting a master's and specializing in nanotechnology or quantum engineering. That's just my opinion. It's coming from someone with a master's degree, you're just better off specializing this if you get a master's. The next thing I'm gonna put in kinda mid is petroleum engineering. And the reason I put petroleum engineering in kinda mid in this tier is because when the cycle is up for petroleum engineering, the money is great. The money is great for this major. Probably one of the top majors for just making money. The starting pay is outstanding for this major. But when the cycle is down, meaning when this is not in season, there is no money. You're not getting paid for this. And the geographical location is crazy for these majors. You don't have the freedom to just go to a random city like Seattle or Washington, D.C. and just make money in those cities. You have to go where you have to go. Although when the cycle is up, you are getting paid. And there's a lot of risk to this major. Policy and commodity pricing exposure, geographic constraint that you will be in either Texas, Oklahoma, I think Louisiana, you'll be in a state that you may or may not want to be in. It's up to you though. So if you do want to do petroleum engineering, I would pair it with data or machine learning, process safety or subsurface geomechanics, something that would broaden this major out so that you aren't stuck to a specific location. But if you want to do this, it's not a crappy major at all. None of these are really crappy in my opinion, unless it's in the bottom tier, which are kind of crappy. It's just okay. You just might be a little stuck if you don't know what you're doing. The next one I'm going to put in kind of mid, kind of reminds me of petroleum, is mining engineering. If you like mining, this could be good. But the reason it's in kind of mid is because although the money is okay, it kind of has the same problems as petroleum engineering, meaning you're stuck to a geographical location and the job safety is just not as high. So if you do want to go into this, I would go into geotechnical engineering, which is something that I interned in. And in geotechnical engineering is a subset under civil engineering. So rather than getting a mining engineering degree, you can just make it a little more broad, get a civil engineering degree and, specialize in geotechnical engineering and maybe go into mining if that's your end goal. The next engineering that I'll put in kinda mid is textile engineering, where it fits. Composites and advanced materials can be strong, but traditional textile mills are extremely limited in the US. I would say if you want to go into textile, rather go into, medical textiles or a medical or biomedical engineering degree, or even if you want to go into more mechanical textiles, go into aerospace. But it's just a kind of mid degree. It's okay, but I wouldn't get a degree in it. The next one I will put here is paper engineering. But the difference between this paper is that this paper engineering is just a paper engineering that has an excellent program and has a reliable co-op. The one that I wouldn't pick is a paper engineering degree that doesn't have a reliable program and it just has no co-op. But this industry is really regional, so if you're in a region that has paper engineering, you could pick this, but if you're not, I would not pick this. I'm not gonna lie. And another one I'm gonna put in kinda mid is explosives engineering. So if you don't know what explosives engineering is, they exist in, these roles exist in mining, defense, offshore, but it's a very narrow market for this type of major. So it's just kind of mid. I don't know. I wouldn't pick explosive engineering. So now we're finally moving up to the pretty good. The next one is the pretty good tier. Engineers that have stable careers, great public mission, great pay, but it tops out lower than the great or the peak engineer majors. But these are still pretty good majors. I wouldn't be mad at them. Okay, so the first one I'm going to put in pretty good, and a lot of you might disagree, but I have my reasons, is mechanical engineering, one of the oldest forms of engineering. The reason I say it's pretty good is because the money is solid, the security is okay depending on if you specialize in something. So if you specialize in control, turbo machinery, reliability, then the security is good if you specialize. The freedom is really good. You have broad mobility. You can possibly have a hybrid role, and it's a great platform for management, or if you want to go into entrepreneurship, it's a very good thing. And as a mechanical engineer, you do thermo fluids, HVAC, manufacturing. You can do almost anything with this. So this is one of the pretty good majors where you can have a stable life in engineering, and there's no problem with it. The next one I say is pretty good is civil engineering. One of the also staples in engineering. You can do structural, geotechnical, transportation, water resources, and what you do is you just build the world. You just build the world around us. You write codes that are relevant to structural design. You do permits, public safety, all infrastructure you do. The money is very dependable. However, you might need a PE license if you go into civil engineering, meaning you may have to get this license if you want to unlock all the senior roles, which could take away from the, I guess, security, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. But there's a lot of public sector roles in civil engineering, and it's just a pretty good major to go into. It's one of the safest majors to go into against AI automation as well. So if you're in civil, it's a pretty great major. I'm not gonna lie. The next one I'm gonna put here is environmental engineering. So what you do is you handle waste, water, air, all that stuff, and just handle the environment. The money is steady. You know, you can work in the government, you can work in consulting. It's a lot of mission-driven work. But another caveat that stops it from being great, the same way that stops civil from being great, is that you might need a PE to do any type of senior roles. You're probably going to need a PE. And you might have to go to grad school a little for environmental engineering. Another one I'm going to put here is Geomatics, which is surveying engineering. So what you do is you survey, you do LiDARs, mapping for construction, all that stuff. The money is strong. However, there's a lot of regional demand for things like geomatics, so that stops it, even though the money is pretty good and the security is pretty good. But if you get licensed in this, you can have your own firm, you can have your own ownership. So that's why I put it in pretty good to me. But you need a PE, and it's pretty regional. So a lot of you probably have not heard of geomatics. The next one I'm going to put is agricultural or biological systems. So what you do is farm automation, irrigation, soil, water, food processing. The money is stable. Robotics cross-training can push you to a higher category. So if you have robotics and you have agricultural engineering, this one shoots up to a great major. However, it is also geographically limited, meaning you're going to have to probably work near a farm or some type of irrigation, but it's stable, it's safe, it goes against AI automation. So it's a great major to pick if you're interested in agriculture or biology or something along those sorts. The next one I'm going to put is Polymer and Plastics Engineering, which is polymer chemistry, rheology, molding, sustainability, medical devices. Why I say it's pretty good is because good roles exist, but I would say this is better paired with, you know, something else like chemistry or medical devices. So something like biomedical, this can be better paired with. If you do pair it, it shoots up though. But let me rephrase, anything in this category is a great major, but there's just, in my opinion, I guess better, or yeah, there's something that I would just say are super great. Then it's the last tier of peak engineering, but you know, let's get back into it. The next one I'm going to put is Acoustical Engineering. What you do is you do noise control, architectural acoustics, sonar. Why I say it's pretty good, it's very niche, so you won't really have a lot of competition when it comes to jobs. It's great in defense, so if you live in the DMV area, you want to go into defense, it's great. And it's great in underwater. If you want to work with anything underwater, this is great. Very specific and niche major that when you're going for a job, it won't be much competition. So I say that's great in my eyes, and it's probably great in your eyes too. The next one is Marine Engineering. It's specialized consulting in public works. geographic niche, so you might have to be near the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic Ocean. But a lot of these I'm putting high because they have great pay and low competition. So that's great if you're interested in any of these majors. The next one I want to put is Biomedical Engineering for undergrad Biomedical Engineering. The reality of this degree is, as a standalone Bachelor of Science, is broad and very competitive, but it's pretty good if you double skill, meaning that if you get, a minor or another degree in mechanical engineering or electrical engineering, this will probably be S tier, because not only do you have biomedical, but you also have electrical or computer or anything like that. It will be S tier, but just by itself, it's kind of broad. Like as an undergrad degree, it's kind of broad. But pair it with something else, it shoots up aggressively fast. So next one, let's get into engineering physics. So engineering physics or engineering science is a general degree. The reality is fantastic if you're headed to grad school, but a lot of you probably don't want to go to grad school. So as an undergrad degree, it's pretty good, like the title says. But if you want something fantastic, you might have to go to grad school for this. Otherwise, entry-level roles are pretty broad and less targeted, but the pay is okay. Okay, let's go to the next tier. This is when it starts to get real serious. I'm not gonna lie. The last tier is serious, but this is serious stuff. Great major. All of these are great majors, but this is a great major. So starting off strong, Aerospace Engineering. Aerospace Engineering, bro. The money is strong. The security is strong. A lot of the roles you get in here, you will get a security clearance if you work in government or if you work in high, high secret places. So it's a strong major. The caveat is that cycles happen, like commercial aerospace and some hubs may not hire all the time, but if you can land a role in this, it's great, especially for the future. Like 2025 to 2035, a lot of is very busy for uprising aerospace engineers in defense, in commercial space, and UAVs. It's a very strong major. The next one I'm going to put here is nuclear engineering. So what you do is you design reactor systems, core design, radiation, safety analysis. The money is very good in nuclear engineering. The money is great. Their benefits are great. Public labs, utilities are very stable. The caveats is that there are few schools and locations where you can actually get a nuclear engineering degree. It's not something you can just wake up and say, oh, I'm going to the neighborhood school and getting a nuclear engineering degree. Nah, it's not like that. And you may have to get licensed and certified, but if you can do all that, you're going to have a great career, a very high paying career, and a very stable career in a lot of national labs. Yeah, you're going to be the man if you get a nuclear engineering degree. The next one I want to put is chemical engineering, including biomedical engineering and bioprocessing. So the money obviously is great in chemical engineering. This is some of the top pay. So here's the thing, these great majors, one trend you're going to notice, the money and the job security are great. If you can land a role in this, you're going to have a good life. Top quartile pay. You deal with a lot of bioprocesses, batteries, process safety. You're going to deal with all that. The caveats, some segments of this career can be ran in cycles, meaning if you graduate on a bad hiring cycle, it may be a little harder to find a career, and the places that you work can be very site bound, meaning you may work on a research lab and you may not have a lot of hybrid stuff that you can do. However, the job security, the money is safe, the job opportunities are vast. You can work in pharmaceuticals, advanced materials, and energy. You can work almost anywhere with just a bachelor's degree. So I think that's a very strong major in my opinion. The next one I'm going to put in great major is material science. What you do is you do with a lot of composites, alloys, ceramics. You do with a lot of stuff. You can work in a lot of places with material science. You deal with a lot of materials, and every single field of engineering has materials that you're going to have to work with. The money is solid. It's not super high, but the money is solid. Mid-career is excellent, but starting out, it's solid. You may have to get an advanced degree for this, but yeah, it's a lot of security here. You can work in aerospace, energy, research. You can work in a lot of places, but I wouldn't put it peak. The reason I put it in great is because this field is growing and it will continue to grow as we explore different materials in engineering. I actually considered getting a PhD in this, but you know. The next one I'm going to put in great is industrial and systems engineering. The money is strong. You can work hybrid and remote options, and it's very versatile. The error risk is very low in this, and every firm cares about industrial engineering. Every firm cares about cost. Every firm cares about reliability. I don't care what nobody says. This is a great major. Every firm cares about this. They say, oh, you're not a real engineer if you do industrial. That's a lie. You're going to have a great career. You're going to make great money. You're going to have a lot of job security and a lot of low risk for AI. So yeah, it's a great major. Don't listen to anybody. Listen to me. But the next one I'm going to put here is manufacturing engineering. Didn't even know this was a thing. Okay. Until I had to do research for this video. I didn't know manufacturing engineering was a thing. But that's like process design, CNC, AM builds, life data analysis. The money is strong and it's getting better with onshoring. And we're always going to need it. We're always going to need this. The lifestyle, you may have to live near your career if you do manufacturing, but you're going to be making a lot of things and you're going to be very important at your job. And the money is very strong. The security is also very strong and it's anti-AI. One trend you're going to notice is that a lot of these great majors are very hard to automate. Like aerospace, nuclear, a lot of them are hard to automate and a lot of them need a lot of security clearances and all that, but they all pay good too. So yeah, you're gonna have, it might be harder, but it's gonna be a great time in, you know, your career and stuff. The next one I'm gonna put in great is telecommunications and network engineering. There's a lot of data centers around that are being built now, a lot of AI data centers. If you can't beat the AI, you need to join AI. This is where this major comes in. Telecommunications, you're joining AI, you're jumping right into it. There's a lot of optic fibers that you're gonna work with. So this is a rising major. Yeah, a rising major that if you don't know what you wanna go into, but you wanna have job security, telecommunication, network engineering, you're gonna have a lot of job security working with these AI systems in the future. I'm trying to tell you, I really am. Piggybacking off of that, something that has really little to do with AI is construction engineering, which is the opposite of telecommunication engineering, which that one goes into AI. This one says AI can't do nothing with me. So in construction engineering, you run and plan heavy civil construction sites. The money is strong. Projects keep flowing in construction. There's always construction. There's always things being built. The caveat though is that it's not the safest major. Like you're gonna have to be outside building. It's not the safest. You might have to travel a lot, stay on site for all the construction sites you're at. And hours for this major can, spike up depending on what field you're in or where. How do I say this? Hours can increase depending on what you're building. The hours aren't stable where you can just go to work and clock in and clock out. If you're building something, you have to stay here for this time. I'm not gonna lie. So if you're okay with that and you don't want to do anything AI, go into construction engineering or even civil engineering with a construction path. And yeah, you're gonna be pretty good. Next one, naval and architecture marine engineering. Man, obviously that will be location specific, but you're going to be working with ships, submarine structures. So if you want to live near water and you like ships and stuff, go into naval architecture. Very specific, very niche career. The pay is very good because it's very niche. All these niche majors have very good pay. However, and Navy programs are hiring for this today. And if you want to stay in the Hampton Roads, Virginia area, this is great. They have a lot of shipyards out there. However, the location is obviously kind of limited, but it's not too limited to where I would drop it down to mid or pretty good. But yeah, it's a great thing to pick. Not gonna lie. The next thing I will put in great major is, and a lot of people are gonna disagree with me on this one. The next thing I'll put in great major is software engineering. At one point, software engineering was peak. That was the peak of engineering. That was the peak. It would have been up here. It would have been. However, there's this moderate AI risk. It's not as crazy as people are saying, but there's a moderate AI risk, especially for first-time starting out engineers. AI accelerates you in this, but also compresses headcount on pure application teams. So, it's not a crazy risk as people are saying online, but it's moderate. However, The money is elite. It's elite money, bro. I'm not gonna lie. At good firms, it's very elite. But the volatility in this major is very high, as you know. It's much higher than hardware. But you know, the money is still elite. I can't even argue with that. You can be a millionaire just with the right job. But you know, it just depends. It's gonna stay in great. It's gonna stay in great. It's not peak engineering no more, but it's great. The AI risk just and the job volatility just shot it down, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. The next one I'm gonna put in great engineer is systems engineering. A lot of you may not know what this is, but this systems engineer, I'm gonna put this as at the master's level, like master's level systems engineer. So you get a master's degree in systems engineering or certifications in systems engineering, you're gonna be cracked out. Like you're gonna be a great hire, because in systems engineering you're the architect of complex defense, space, transport all these type of nanotechnology systems. You are architecting that. If you have a master's in systems engineering, there's a huge demand for you in every industry. You can work everywhere, and their pay is pretty good too. So the demand is good, the pay is good. There's a lot of programs that you can get into systems engineering with. But the reason why it's not peak is because you might have to get a master's degree in systems engineering. You might need that master's, bro. Might need that master's. So a systems master's is on the same level as some of these other bachelor's degrees. But, you know, it's still a great major. Not gonna lie. The last category I'm gonna touch, bro. These are the peak engineering majors. These majors have the top return on investment. They're top tier return on investment. Hard to automate. You have a lot of leverage if you get these degrees, bro. I'm not gonna lie. So starting off very strong, electrical engineering. Electrical engineering, bro. I have a master's in electrical engineering. It's peak engineering. So if you do electrical engineering, you can design grids, converters, chargers, amplifiers, radars, everything. The money is very high starting out. The mid-career, you know, it tops off around 200K, but depending on what you get into, it can be even higher than that. And it's a very popular major or popular career in a lot of metropolitan areas like the DMV. You can get into New York. You can work anywhere with this. The AI risk is low, since when you're electrical engineering, you're working with physical systems, you're building actual circuits. There's a lot of compliance and safety regulations, and yeah. The lifestyle, you usually work in an office. You might be on site depending on what type of electrical engineering you're going to. You're going to grid systems, you might be on site. It's a lot of lab heavy work, but it's still hybrid. You can work hybrid with this job, but hands-on is like a hybrid, hands-on and computer work. You can work everywhere in any single state in the country. You can be an electrical engineer. There's no state that you cannot be an electrical engineer. Even electronics, if you want to niche down to electronics, you can work in majority of the popular states: Texas, Michigan, Massachusetts, DMV. You can work anywhere, bro. Bay Area, obviously, with NVIDIA and all of them. The only thing is, if you go to electrical and you want to go into power engineering, you're going to need that PE. And if you're going to do electronics, you might need a security clearance, but usually companies sponsor that. But this is peak engineering. It's very scarce because people don't want to go into it. They might now, but and you need to know a lot of information. But it's mission critical. It's safe with AI. The pay is good. Everything is good, but it's going to be very stressful in those college years. I'm not going to lie. The next job I'm going to put here is Mechatronics, bro. Mechatronics is like robotics. You integrate mechanics, electronics, control, software all into one. So it's a little more complicated. It's a little niche. It's very hot right now. There's a lot of labor shortages when it comes to mechatronics. And so if you want to get into this, you definitely can. You probably should. The AI risk is low with these jobs, since you will be doing a lot of physical work and you still need to do some coding, so you can work hybrid. You can work nationwide. A lot of these jobs that are going to be peak engineer, the pay is good. You can work anywhere. The AI automation is low. Every place needs these jobs. However, a lot of them are very hard to get into. They're very hard, and you might need security clearance, but everything else has it. It has location, has money, it has all that. The next thing for peak engineering, I'm gonna put computer engineering, bro. Computer engineering. I don't care what nobody says. Computer engineering is peak, and it actually shot software engineering down. Because with computer engineering, you're working with software to hardware depending on where you work. And a computer engineer can become a software engineer. A software engineer, can you become a computer engineer? Possibly, but it's a little harder. The AI risk is low to moderate. There is some AI risk, but it's not as much AI risk as some of these other majors. It's a bottleneck skill for a lot of people, and you have to be very smart to get into computer engineering, as you do a lot of all these majors. But you know, the money is strong from day one. There's a lot of high reliability, and there's a high ceiling for pay for computer engineering. So definitely consider getting into it. I know what people say online, but they're not me. I have a master's in engineering. I work with a lot of these people. It's still a great major to get into, no lie. Next one I'm gonna put is Cybersecurity Engineering. Cybersecurity Engineering. So in cybersecurity, there's high pay, there's clearance premiums, and there's an extreme, chronic, almost crazy demand for cybersecurity engineers, bro. You can work in the DMV, you can work in San Antonio, Dallas, Boston, San Diego, nationwide. You can work cybersecurity engineering. There'll always be cybersecurity engineers, because as AI grows, as technology grows, somebody has to secure this stuff, and it will be you, and you'll be making a lot of money for it. You'll be making a lot of money for these careers, and you can work anywhere. Peak engineer right here. Peak engineer. It's rising. If you don't know what to do, get into cybersecurity engineering, bro. You might need a clearance, but they'll pay for it. You'll be very successful, and there's a high ceiling for cybersecurity engineer. That's peak engineer right there, man. I'm not gonna lie. The next one I want to put is avionics. This is really niche. This is a really niche field. However, this is more so a niche under electrical engineering, but it's very defense heavy, clearance heavy, very high competition. But you know, if you can get into avionics, you're gonna be paid. You're gonna be paid. You can travel, do whatever you want. A lot of these fields you're gonna notice are very high comp, but you know, it's worth it if you get into it. I'm not gonna lie, it's worth it if you get into it. The next field I'm gonna put is optical engineering, which was my undergrad degree. I got an undergrad in optical engineering. What makes this an S tier engineer is that it has very strong pay out the gate. You're getting paid. Optical engineering. You work in defense. It's a very high niche career. Mid-career can be very stellar if you go into optics. The AI risk is obviously low. There aren't even many optical engineers to begin with. It's very lab heavy, very safety critical. You could work in Tucson, Orlando, Boston, San Diego, Bay Area, Phoenix, the DMV. You can work in a lot of places, and they're hiring. You can get real pay from this. I'm not gonna lie, in optics engineering. The problem is you may need an advanced degree, but the pay is good, the location is good. It's peak engineer, bro. And a lot of people might not have heard of it. You might not have heard of a lot of these, but this is why I'm giving this super in-depth tier list. A lot of these are very, very, very specific. But optical engineering, if you're going into that. And the last one I want to touch on is microelectronics. This is a niche, or it could be a niche under, you know, electrical or mechanical, but this one's more specific to fabricating transistors, lithography, deposition, all that stuff. This is a little more location specific, but the US is investing in microelectronics. We're investing in this right now, even through the CHIPS Act. So this is a rising field or even industry to go into. If you want peak engineering opportunities, this will be the one to go into, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. That is peak right there. So this is a very in-depth tier list. Please make sure you share this. Whew, that was hard. These are all the majors, the peak engineers, electrical, computer, cyber security, all that stuff. Then go to grade, that software, chemical, material science. But here's just the thing I want to say. Pick the domain of engineering that energizes you. Pick the domain of engineering that you want to do and really go after it. I know I made a tier list about it, and I know my tier list may scare some of you. However, pick the field that you're passionate about and that you have a plan for. This is just a guideline. You'll have the money and security and freedom that you want as long as you chase it. So I know I made this tier list. I put a lot of thought into this, but you know, you can still go into whatever you want to do. I'm not gonna lie. My rankings were based off of pay. They were based off of flexibility. They were based off of start time. They were based off if you were outdoors. They were based off of AI. They were based off of all that. But go into the field that you want to go into. Don't let Jovan make you go into something. But this is a very in-depth list, so definitely save it if you want to save this. My name is Jovan. I'll see you on the next one.